my whole identity was at a crisis when God began to speak to me, because at that point, I don't know if you know like my testimony, but I was very new age. And so I identified with that and that lifestyle and like everything that I was doing in that. And so I don't know if you experienced that of
Oh yeah.
like opposition, because it's like, wait, no, this is who I thought I was. You mean to tell me that this is who I am?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. So after what's crazy is, so I've experienced all of that too, and I'll be honest, sometimes I still do. Like I can still be a knucklehead, and it's just so funny because, but it's important for us. Before I even go into that, I feel led to always say this. It's important for us to always be open to correction,
Mm,
to the Lord. Like that's so pinnacle in our walk with God, is to be open to that correction and to just be like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You're right.
yeah.
But after I got saved, um, it's like, where do I even begin? After I got saved, I spent the next like 4 or 5 months, just really trying to get close to God. And see, what was crazy is, so because I identified as gay, it was really hard for me to let that go. It was
Yeah.
really hard. I remember there would be days I would literally be I'd be reading in the word, because when I started reading in the scripture, I'd be in my room, literally in the secret place, reading in the scripture for like 6 hours a day. Like it was, I would come home from work and like that's all I wanted to do. I'd go in my room, shut the door, and just that's all I wanted to do. But when I would get to anywhere, like in Romans or anywhere else where it talked about homosexuality, I would like shut my Bible and I'd be like,
Mm,
I can't do this. Like, and there would be so many days where I would just weep and I'd cry out to God and I'd be like, Lord, I don't understand. Like I don't understand um why I can't let this go, and why did you make me like this, and why is this happening, and why do I have this attraction, all these things.
yeah.
And what he really ended up showing me later on was that I wasn't ready to let it go, really. Like it was something that I wasn't ready to surrender. I still wanted that sin. And
Yeah.
so because of that, I ended up backsliding really hard for a couple years. For a couple years. And I when I backslid, and I think it talks about this somewhere in scripture. I'm really bad with memorizing scripture. I'm trying to get better
Me
at it.
too.
But um where it talks about the dog going back to its vomit,
Wow.
and yes, and if you go back to your old ways, like it'll be worse for you. Like it'll, like you should have never just, right. And that's exactly how it was for me when I backslid. It was, I ended up getting deeper into drugs. At one point, I even thought I was trans. Like I even started, so far as I started taking hormones. Like I literally changed my name. I changed my whole identity. And that's when I got into new age. That's when I started doing all of these crazy things. And so God is just so good, and he's so merciful, and he has so much grace. Because thank the Lord, he ended up pulling me out of that. So I'm literally a prodigal daughter to
Yeah.
a T. Yeah.
He kept fighting for you. I love that.
Yeah. 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 I believe he always will. I believe he'll always fight for us.
Yeah. I think the new age kind of gives us a glimmer of hope too, because we know like we were designed to crave a relationship with God. And so in the new age, you think that you can have that while also still getting to live in your life of sin, and not just
Yeah.
live in it. Like the new age like glorifies that fleshly desire as something
Itself.
sacred. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that was definitely, I relate to that a lot too. My thing was, I feel like my biggest addiction was sexual immorality. Like I had this like love void where like I feel like I associated sex with love, and so many people do. And so I feel like that's what led me to sleeping around as much as I did, is like that's like the deepest, most intimate thing that you can do with somebody. And so I was like giving that away, but that was the hardest thing for me to let go of. And so that was like one of the first things God was speaking to me about when I first started reading the Bible, where I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to digest this because this is going to change my entire everything about what I'm doing. Also, on the topic of like it's both sexual brokenness. Like the way I was doing it is sexual brokenness. The way you were doing it was sexual brokenness. So it's just a little bit different in application, but it's still rooted in that brokenness. I wrote down this quote. I don't know if you've heard of Jackie Hill Perry.
I have. Oh,
Yeah.
she's amazing.
Yeah. So she wrote Gay Girl, Good God. And so she was saved from, I think, like a similar life, of the sexual brokenness. And she said, I enjoyed my sin, but I couldn't find peace anywhere in it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
So it's like we might have enjoyed these things and our flesh might still like hunger for these things, but there's no peace in it. And I think the difference is once you come to know Jesus, like you love God more than that sin.
Come on. God, that's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it was for me. I remember especially when I started getting into New Age and I started like injecting myself with hormones and I was trying to change my identity. It's crazy because I look back at the pictures of myself even and I see that I was literally dying. Like I was literally dying. Like you can see it. I was so much I know I'm kind of pale now, but but like I looked very sickly and I when I think back at how I even felt, I mean, I have so because I also fell deeper into addiction during that time with really hard drugs. I have a video recorded on my phone where you can't see me, but you can hear me just crying. I was
Mhm.
sobbing, and I made this literally like I think like maybe a month before God fully delivered me from drugs. And in the video, it's like 3 minutes long. I'm just sobbing and I'm crying, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm gonna die. Like
Mhm.
I can't live like this anymore. I don't want to do this. And during this whole time, because this was, like I said, over a span of a couple years of me just running from God and really seeking self and wanting to gratify self and live for myself and do whatever I wanted. Um, I just it was just such a dark place where it's just I don't have peace.
Yeah.
I didn't have peace. Um, but God, but God,
Yeah, but
but God, like he literally took that all away. And what's funny is I didn't even really ask him too many times. I kind of just I feel like he just that was always his plan. I had to go through what I like for my own personal story. I had to go through those things because I look back now and I never want to go back there. I
yeah.
never want to go back to that pain. I never want to go back to that shame, that brokenness. Never.
Yeah.
Never. Because like you said, once you meet Jesus, it's like it's just everything's different.